And we're joined by Renee Wasylyk, the announced candidate for the Tory nomination.
Yes.
So you've gone out in front here by announcing. People know you as the CEO of a development company, but where's the political background?
That's a great question.
Yeah?
But I've always been politically active. So part of the Conservative Party for 20 years, part of the BC Liberal Party for about the same amount of time. And I have served on a number of different provincial boards and even federal boards that were chosen by our political parties at the time. So I've always had an active political career, but not paid for it and not done it as a full-time career.
Right. And you've certainly had plenty of experience sort of across the table from politicians, like,
Yes.
right?
Yes, development is a very, very political and highly charged environment in which to work. Part of that, though, I really like because it's about building consensus, it's about creating vision, but it's also about understanding the vision that's coming out of the community. And then we as developers really get to construct it, to make it come
Right.
to fruition, which is the most fun part of what I do on a daily basis.
So you've got Andrew Scheer as the leader of the Conservatives right now. Pretty conservative. And you know, if I was wanting to see how the Conservatives could grow into, say, a majority government, don't you need to kind of push towards the sort of liberal side of the Conservative Party to get some of those swing votes? And is Andrew Scheer the right guy? He's sort of a conservative. Am I wrong?
I do think you're wrong in that. I think that while there are some very fiscal conservative policies that he's going to bring in, I do think that he is a more moderate than we've seen in I would say, history for the Conservative Party. I think he's someone that is a very ethical person, is a very moral person, and I think you'll see that evidenced. But what I don't think you'll see is all of that coming and kind of mucking or muddying the waters of the government. I love how Andrew celebrates diversity, and it's not as something that needs to be quoted or made into an issue. It's rather something that's an identification of who we are as a society.
Okay, a politician who celebrates diversity would usually be a politician who would be willing to march in a pride parade. And he's not there.
Oh, I think, for me personally, I've never marched in a pride parade.
Would you?
Would I? I guess I would, but I don't need to. I don't think that that's something that celebrates who I am as a person. Do I have a lot of gay and transsexual friends? I do. I love them. And I would never tell anyone who to love or how to love them. And I think that each person as a human needs rights and needs to be celebrated for who they are and acknowledged as in a way that makes them feel meaningful to our society.
Right.
But that's for everyone. And so for me to single out or to acknowledge one over another, I wouldn't necessarily do that. But I would protect every single person's rights as something that is precious and to be beholden.
Right. So how does a Conservative win this seat? These are strange times in this particular riding because, as I said before the interview, I was working for CTV at the time, and I was telling them, don't even pay attention to that Kelowna riding. It is so conservative. The Liberal doesn't have a chance. So they sent me down to Surrey while this was going on here. So we've got a Liberal MP. I can't even believe I'm saying that now. I would never have expected that. What is going on here, and how do you bring it back to the Conservatives?
Well, the Liberal MP actually went on record by saying he really is a Conservative, but he was done with Harper. I think that Harper is done. Harper is in the past for the Conservatives. I think that Andrew Scheer is a very different leader with a very different leadership style. He is much more charismatic. He's much warmer. He is a person that you could sit down with and have a conversation. Right. So I think that we don't need a Conservative that's really trying to be a Liberal. I think we need a true Conservative who's reflective of our society and our constituency, which I don't think that the far right is the only part of our constituency. I think that's some of our constituency. I think that's who's been in the trenches maybe for a period of time. But I think that the tent base is widening and those pegs are coming out and they're going to expand because I don't want to give my kids the amount of debt that we're accruing as a Canadian government. I don't want them to feel apologetic for being Canadian. I want them to be proud. And I also want us to really celebrate our industries and to make sure that we're moving forward in a positive way.
Okay, so if you get the nomination, you will be joining a party that is represented by 17% women and an average age of 53. So a lot of old men there as Tories. So are you part of sort of rectifying that?
Absolutely. Andrew is out busy recruiting who he wants to see as the party, as the face of the party, who he wants as the mind of the party. And I was honored when he asked me to run because of who I am. Not because of necessarily all the politics and the policy, but rather who I am as a person. And that I have been able to create and lead among our community for the last 20 years and do something that has really contributed to our sustainability as a community and growth and sophistication as a community as well.
Right, so we've heard other people may have interests in the Tory nomination here as well, but you seem to be saying that you are the chosen one.
I am a supported candidate, absolutely. I've got endorsements from other MPs, but I also...
I mean, from Andrew Scheer himself, that's kind of the ultimate endorsement.
I don't think Andrew Scheer will endorse a particular candidate in any riding.
Okay, so I'm not going to hear him say that, but you're sort of saying that.
I think that he selected certain candidates that he would like to see without endorsing or not endorsing.
So it's a small E endorsement.
It is. Yeah, it would be. But the big E endorsement would come from the community. So, people like Dan Albus, people like, Andre Blonley, or people like Lane Merrifield, people like Ashley Ramsey, people who have known me for 20 years, 40 years, they're coming out and saying, no, Renee is the right person for this job.
Right. So our MP, Stephen Fuhr, would you say that he got elected with people who were sort of disenfranchised Tories?
Absolutely.
So that's what you're aiming, I guess, to, bring on back?
Half of my team voted Liberally in the last election. And I have a large team right now of volunteers because I need one. I still have a day job that I'm running full time. So I definitely needed a team that was outside of that to make sure that the nomination and the campaign ran smoothly. But I chose half of them because they were former Liberals or they had voted Liberal in the last election. That was important to me because they are the voice that I need to hear. They are the ones that believe that we need stronger leadership and that kind of got taken for a ride. They feel a little hard done by in that they were told that there would be that representation in Ottawa, and that hasn't come to fruition.
Okay, back to you personally. How do you fit this in? You've got this just up the street from us here, this development company with how many employees?
Yeah, we're about 65.
So you can't just mothball that for 4 years
No.
or 8 years or something. Do you have a whole plan in place as to how you can kind of back off from that and have it carry on?
Absolutely, yeah. I worked with the party to some extent to figure out what that looks like and who's done it successfully and how I could emulate that. I worked with my team and my executive team on creating a transition plan and then also a feedback loop to make sure that they have what they need on a move forward basis. But we were talking about Harper earlier, and as great as he was leading us through the recession, every leader needs to know when to step aside for other leadership to move forward and to move into position with different ideas, with better vision, with a bigger understanding of how things can be. And I truly believe that in Troika, there are those leaders who are going to step into positions and roles and really, really take Troika to the next level, and probably to a level that I wouldn't take it to because I am so active within my community and so involved outside of Troika as well.
So you feel okay just kind of walking away from it for a while?
You never walk away from your baby.
Yeah.
But what you do is you let that baby grow up.
Right. There you go. Yeah, and it is an exciting time for any party when they've been on the sidelines for a little while. And I think every party actually needs that.
Absolutely.
I think they need to lose once in a while. Otherwise, they start to build up baggage and things. So it's almost like a do-over and a fresh start.
Yes, and it's a reinvention. Anytime that you lose a job, it's an opportunity for you to decide, who do I want to be? How am I going to express my destiny in this place and space? And that is exactly what, the Conservatives of Canada are saying. Wait a second, that's not all that we are. There's parts of that are a really good story, but that's not all that we are, and we're going to reinvent, and we're going to reform, and we're going to become something that really looks a little bit different. And I think that the candidates that they are choosing and looking for in this next election are indicative of that. There's way more women. I don't know if you've been watching the different nominations that have come out, but we're looking at a female Okanagan, female, BC, which I think is positive, and I think it shows that they want a different face to the Conservative Party.
Well, let's see how it goes.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Kelowna Now.